The gatekeepers trying to stop independent media across all different genres and mediums from rising up as the new media takes over. Today, we'll give you another piece of evidence in that direction. Billboard maybe trying to stop Eric July from winning, not in comics with Rippaverse, but instead with a #1 hit single in the music charts. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a joy to have you here with us where we continue to peel back the layers of the gatekeeping dinosaur going extinct legacy media, not just in journalism, not just in TV, but rather, folks, across every single industry, music included. All we ask is that you click the like button. Let's dive into the latest thing, which is Eric July, famous for dominating the comic book industry, now doing the same in music, but perhaps being stopped by the gatekeepers. All right, folks, take a look at this. It's out of That Part Place, the website that if you're not yet bookmarked, you should be, and it's by Marvin Montanaro, Eric July, and Dan Vasc. Do I have that pronounced correctly, guys? Dan Vasc?
Dan Vasc. Dan
Vasc? Okay, Dan Vasc, Norfolk. Norfolk, glorious death prevented from reaching #1 on Billboard charts due to rule change and misleading guidance. This is another effort, I believe, folks, and listen, I'm not trying to malign Billboard. I'm just saying, in my opinion, and I'm allowed to have an opinion, this is another effort by the legacies to stop the independents from winning. Eric July is already transforming the comic industry, totally upheaving it in a way that they never saw coming. Now, music is his next target. Independent creators Eric July of Rippaverse and Dan Vasc made major waves in the music world this week when their single, Glorious Death, tied to the upcoming animated project Norfolk, debuted at #7 on Billboard's Hard Rock Digital Song Sales chart. But according to July, that impressive placement came despite serious obstacles, and the duo may have been unjustly denied the #1 spot due to a quiet rule change and misleading guidance from the industry itself. This would, by the way, not be the only time we've seen this happen. We believe also Tim Pool has been inappropriately treated by those who judge how popular songs are. I believe it's yet another example of the dinosaurs trying to stop their own extinction or at least slow it down. They can't. This is a runaway train, the new media, and it is not simply about news coverage. It goes far beyond that, and it's going to continue. In a revealing live stream episode of Rip and the Silverback, July explained that the majority of their digital sales were not counted by Billboard, despite his team following all the directions provided by Luminate, the company responsible for compiling chart data for Billboard. Oh, Luminate, we see you again. Understanding that the combined fan bases of Rippaverse and Dan Vasc could generate major numbers, July reached out to Luminate well before the single was released to ensure everything would be properly reported. Because most Rippaverse fans shop directly through the company's official site, July wanted to verify that those direct sales would be eligible. Luminate explicitly recommended a Shopify-based platform called Single, assuring July that it would report his direct-to-consumer sales to Billboard. July, that's Eric July, spent time, energy, and money setting up an entirely new storefront on Shopify and integrating Single into his release strategy. All promotional efforts, including ads and social media posts, pointed fans to the new storefront powered by Luminate's suggested solution. And then the truth came out. And you know, folks, what it's going to be next. Oh, I'm sorry. We're sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. We can't count those. And why? Well, folks, I believe you already know. Because if they counted them, it would prove just how popular independent media is, dominating the legacies, and that's in music too. Nat, they refuse to give, I would call them the little guys, but they're not little anymore. They refuse to give the true kings and queens the thrones, the crowns they deserve. How much longer does this go down before this just gets avalanched? And they have to admit that people like Eric July, that Mr. Vasc, the Rippaverse, and everything else is so popular, they can't prevent it.
Well, they also had something similar happen, as you mentioned with Tim Pool, but also Tom MacDonald. And I think the more artists realize that going more of an independent route and maybe even not relying on, I know you have to, but trying not to rely as much on the Billboard charts as people think they need to, might actually create a bigger change if more and more artists band together. And I do hear more and more conversation from even mainstream artists criticizing the way the music industry continues to behave. And in this case specifically, it's because they're being threatened more and more with people realizing they can kind of do it on their own now that there's the avenues to do so online and with fans actually contributing to your success and not just the music labels.
And Nat, the technology too, the advancements in technology have made it such that that people out there who are tremendously talented no longer have to go through the gateway systems. They're no longer siloed and corralled. They can just go straight through and dominate the industry without having to go through middlemen and higher ups.
Yes, and being able to even sell your own records to your own fans almost directly, kind of like how Tom McDonald did it, and also promote yourself and get people to find you, such like Oliver Anthony did with a song that kind of took over a while ago. That also shows that you don't need them, and that's too threatening to the industry because they've been on top and the way they've been for so long. They can't really let that go, but they might have to.
Yes, and also, folks, lest you think this is about simply, the virtuosities of saving the music industry, I think a lot of it comes down to jobs, too. This is not just about theory, but rather about how many people's jobs are only there because they siphon off of the artists and they pick and choose who's going to be above them, and their entire existence is just about gatekeeping. Marvin, you wrote the article here. Walk us through what's happening with Eric July. And, I wasn't even aware that he is a major mover in music, but apparently he is.
Well, yeah, Eric's been a musician for a very long time. He's fronted a number of bands, that have had some success. Dan Vasc is a legitimate megastar in music at this point, through his YouTube channel, through Spotify. I mean, my writing playlist is filled with a lot of Dan Vasc songs. And I don't know if you guys have not listened to Glorious Death, it slaps. I mean, that song is awesome. What?
Stop that. Don't you ever do that again.
Don't say it slaps. It's good.
Stop
it's
that.
Song.
Get him, Kevin. Get him.
I am you. That is, you have put 20 years of shame on my soul for witnessing that.
Sorry. All right. So
all right, Mr. Slappy, tell us why the Billboard's not happy.
So what happened here is they told Eric, okay, you have to do this with this single through Shopify. So he does it. The bulk of their sales come now through this Shopify store, through this single app, right? And now all of a sudden, they're top of the charts on Amazon, top of the charts on iTunes, far and away, blow everyone else out of the water. They're ahead of Muse, they're ahead of 3 Days Grace, they're ahead of Metallica, they're ahead of everybody. All of a sudden, the Billboard charts come out. Muse is ahead of them. 3 Days Grace is ahead of them. And they're like, wait, what happened? And then they call and they find out, oh, well, since 2023, we have not supported, independent direct digital sales for the Billboard charts. And they're like, but you told us that you did. And so apparently they enacted this rule that denied this song the top of the charts on the on Billboard. And easily you have to imagine that if it hit number 7 on the Billboard charts and topped Amazon and iTunes without the bulk of its sales, this would have easily been the number 1 song on the Billboard charts. Easily. Well, and it was denied that because of a policy shift.
Well, it also seems to me that Eric July is distinctly not woke. And in fact, I would say that's ingrained in his identity that he's not woke. Culture, I think that's what terrifies Billboard. I think that's what terrifies the gatekeepers in comics, in music, in film, everywhere, right? Remember, in the documentary side of things, the Academy did not want to even recognize what Matt Walsh did with his recent documentary. Culture, I think this is the last gasp effort for them to stop just how popular being anti-woke must be. What do you say?
Well, sure. I mean, it definitely, when it comes to these particular artists, including Dan Vasc, Eric July, and others that are, irritating them, like Tom McDonald, they're challenged. They're challenged more so as an industry than even as like a movement that's happening within a given industry. Like you're saying, the anti-woke. I mean, they're definitely anti-woke. I mean, that's Tom McDonald's like, that's his entire thing. Kid Rock is his entire thing. But Kid Rock still works within the industry and within the bounds of the record companies. But nobody else is doing that. Dan Vasc became immensely popular, as Marvin was mentioning, because of his internet presence on YouTube and remaking famous music and making it even more so. Eric July, his background in music for as long as he was always a musician before he became anything else, and did anything else. He was always, out there fronting, as Marvin suggested, many bands. But the industry is so threatened now by the independent movement. They don't want to highlight the fact that as an individual, you can go out and do better for yourself than an industry that was supposed to promote you could ever possibly do.
Okay. Here's the other question, Culture.
Yeah.
Does it even matter? Like, if Billboard recognizes you or doesn't recognize you, does it even matter anymore? Because maybe that's an antiquated, relic of the past now, and the independent media is so big that we just don't even care.
I think that there's something to be said for being on Billboard's charts. I think that would certainly expand the knowledge base beyond our borders and beyond the people who are familiar with the kinds of independent media that we're engrossed in daily. I mean, we do live very different lives, especially...
It's a bubble burster. Is that what you say? It was a bubble buster?
Yeah, because you could really pop the bubble of the industry, and that's the thing. That's what they're worried about. It's the same reason why they're terrified of independent comics. It's the same reason why they really dislike the this up and coming have your own website Substack thing. They don't like us. They don't like these types of movements that push the individual and allow the individual to push themselves. It's terrifying to them. And you're seeing that more and more frequently. You're starting to see books chart on Amazon from independent writers that just circumvented the whole system. And there are many, many people out there that have the kind of talent required to give you something new that doesn't sound like the sea of same that's coming out of a music industry that's just essentially formulaic at this point. And that's the other problem with any of the media coming out of any of these industries these days, is it's all formulaic. So
absolutely,
this is a larger thing. I mean, for example, like you go to YouTube right now, you can listen to rock radio. Right? Brand new channel from Prelude Studios. You can go there. You can listen to it. There's 2 live streams running right now. Prelude Pro Radio. Okay. 2 live streams simultaneously. All kinds of great tunes over there. It's going to expand. It continues to expand. And yeah, that's an industry that, you should be, or that's a particular channel you should be familiar with because it's, integrated into, Pro's sphere. But at the same time, it's a movement forward that they can't thwart. And they've put a number of barriers in front of Pro and in front of other creators that try to do the same thing. The thing is,
one of the things
they overcome it.
Yeah, one of the things I think the companies are doing is they recognize, this is so funny, and Vash, I'd like to get your expertise on this. One of the things they've realized is that they can one, label people as independent versus being part of the machine. And then 2, if you use technology, which is becoming so blurred with AI now, right? Because I'll give you an example. Out of music, let's go to graphic image generation. Photoshop now uses AI. Switch to another industry, cars. Many of the cars out there are using AI to drive down the road or to assist you driving down the road.
Yep.
Making music now involves these algorithms and code that tangentially have AI built into them, even if it's not the main thing driving it. And now you have, like, Spotify and Apple are coming out and saying, if it uses any AI at all, then it has to be labeled as AI, like any. And the issue there, Vash, is that these independent musicians who they have software and they don't even care about using AI. It's just built into the stuff. Now they're getting connected with that. And that's another way, I think, to keep them out of the studio. And you better believe the studio is using, these official studios are using every tool they have, but they don't have to label it as such. Vash, what do you think about it?
No, I mean, it's we're seeing this across industries. Like you said, Photoshop now uses AI. A lot of video editing software has AI integrated in it in ways that maybe you don't aren't readily seen by the actual user using them. And of course, music editing software as well has AI incorporated within it. So the line is constantly being blurred when it comes to the utilization of AI in order to generate works.
Yeah, let me just insert this real quick, Vash. I'll give you an example so we take it out of the theory. Let's say that there's a musician, and I don't know what Eric did. I'm not saying that Eric did this at all. We're a little bit out of there, okay? But I'm just pointing out how much the gatekeepers are trying to do to hold down the independents. Let's say that you're an independent musician. You spent thousands of dollars on a song, and one of the steps along the way was to clean up a music track. And you cleaned it up using a software. You clicked a button and boom, it sounded better because it cleaned up, the extra noise, the static, whatever, okay? Oh my gosh. You know how it did that? AI. Artificial intelligence coding came in there and cleaned up the track. Boom, you're AI. And we don't have to label that because we're studios. You paid $30,000 to record in us, so you don't have to be labeled that way. Ha ha, neener, neener. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna stop. And it's not stopping people like Eric July, not for a moment. He's gonna blow past them, even if Billboard tries to stop him.
Well, also, what they've said, Pro, is that they are positive now that they know how the game is played, that next time up at bat, they will the next single will hit #1. And the other really interesting thing that I didn't get to say before, Luminate basically was like, oops, yeah, no, we misled you. They refunded him everything he spent on that Shopify.
Oh, wow.
So that is, and Eric says in the video, and I agree, that is essentially an admission of fault by being like, here's all your money back.
Yeah, and that also, so if attorneys were involved, I won't say what I think might have happened, but I'll just tell you this. If attorneys were involved in that, it's a major step to make, to say, whoopsie, here's your money back, because it has huge implications on what happened thereafter. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We are done for now, but don't worry. Do not fret. Not yet, for more content is still coming your way 4 times a day right here on the Pro Channel. What a joy it has been to share our time with you. We hope you feel the same. Adding value to your every single day is our job here, and we take it very seriously. Folks, the only thing we ask in return is that you consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it. Stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. And drop a comment right on down below. And folks, if you'd like to subscribe to our partner YouTube channels, That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and some of those radio stations like Vacation Radio, well, we certainly would appreciate it. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time and being invited into your day, folks, we go on our way saying this: keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah!
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.